Well, our focus this evening, a day after the centre's decision to include caste enumeration as part of the national census, the political exchange continued to dominate the conversation. While the BJP continued to hit out at the Congress Chief Ministers Revant Reddy and Siddaramaiah came out with strong statements. Apart from giving credit to Rahul Gandhi for pushing the centre on the issue, Revant Reddy asked for a ministers' panel and offered the Telangana survey model as a blueprint. Chief Minister Siddaramaiah in Karnataka too welcomed the centre's decision and demanded for steps to lift the 50% cap on reservations. The DMK in Tamil Nadu has also been in favour of a caste census and claimed credit for the India bloc for pushing for one.
Caste in our social system, caste is a reality. We can't forget the caste. In order to bring about a change in the society, in order to bring about an equality in the society, in order to eradicate the caste system in the society, we have to conduct socio-economic and educational survey.
So I'm just going to ask you, you have said the vision of Rahul Gandhi, despite being in the opposition, has created this revolutionary policy decision. But has the BJP stolen the Congress thunder politically?
नहीं, ये ऐसा कुछ नहीं हो सकता. देश को आज़ादी हम दिलाए, थोड़ी किसी को ऐसे मिल जाएंगे. तो तेलंगाना हम दिए, कोई कितना भी बोलने दो, पॉलिटिकल बेनिफिट तो नहीं मिलने वाले. लोगों को, जनता को बेनिफिट मिलना है. हम कांग्रेस पार्टी कभी भी पॉलिटिकल बेनिफिट के लिए हम सोचदार नहीं करते. राहुल जी और गांधी परिवार ने देश के लिए सोचते. देश के जनता जो मांग रहा है वो काम करने के लिए हम कोशिश करेगा. राहुल जी जो सोचदार है, मोदी जी ने अडॉप्ट कर लिया, अच्छा है. इसीलिए राहुल जी कल अप्रिशिएट किए. तो जब अच्छा काम किए तो हम लोग पीछे नहीं हटते, हम लोग अप्रिशिएट कर देते. इसीलिए आज तेलंगाना राज्य के सरकार के तरफ से मैं मोदी जी को अभिनंदन देना चाहता हूं. आगे भी टाइमलाइन दे दो, टर्म्स ऑफ रेफरेंस भी सही तरीक़ा से करो, ग्रुप ऑफ मिनिस्टर्स का एक कमेटी बना दो और ऑफिसर एक्सपर्ट्स कमेटी भी बनवा दो. आप जब पॉलिटिकल पार्टी से चर्चा करो, स्टेक होल्डर से चर्चा करो, सिविल सोसाइटी से चर्चा कर दे के विद इन टाइम फ्रेम ही हैज़ टू डिलीवर. इतना ही हमारा मांग है. तो हम साथ मिलकर काम करने के लिए हमको कोई एतराज़ नहीं है, क्योंकि देश में 140 करोड़ जनता के लिए जब अच्छा हो रहा है, भला हो रहा है, तो इसमें राजनीति देखने का ज़रूरी नहीं है.
But there is a war to take the credit for this, isn't it? You have been tweeting, many of your leaders have been tweeting about how it started with the Bharat Jodo Yatra, that Mr. Rahul Gandhi had actually put this as a national agenda.
तो इसीलिए मैं कह रहा हूँ, ये एजेंडा, ये बेनिफिट लेने का हम कोशिश करने का कोई ज़रूरी नहीं है. लोग को पता है राहुल गांधी जी ने जो 150 दिन 4000 किलोमीटर जो पादयात्रा की है, कन्याकुमारी से लेकर कश्मीर तक हर जनता से मिला है. जनता लोगों का दिल का धड़कन सुना है. इसीलिए राहुल गांधी हर जगह में बोलते गए.
Yesterday it was Rahul Gandhi who spoke about Telangana model. आज रेवंत रेड्डी ने हमसे बात करी NDTV से. उन्होंने कहा कि सरकार को हम धन्यवाद करते हैं, नरेंद्र मोदी जी को हम धन्यवाद करते हैं कि उन्होंने कास्ट सेंसस की बात करी, लेकिन तेलंगाना से कुछ सीखना चाहिए. जिस तरीके से तेलंगाना ने पूरा सर्वे कराया है कास्ट का, उस तरीके से देश को करना चाहिए.
जो तेलंगाना में सेंसस नहीं हुआ है, सर्वे हुआ है, वो फर्जी है. कोई साइंटिफिक मेथड नहीं है, कोई कंस्ट्रक्टिव सर्वे भी नहीं था. पहला कुछ रिपोर्ट तैयार किया, सूरे तेलंगाना के जनता के लोग, ओबीसी के लोग पूरे उसमें हाहाकार मचा था. फिर 2 दिन लेकर फिर सेक्रेटरी में बैठ के फिर सर्वे किया बोल के झूठा एक फर्जी रिपोर्ट किया है. उसमें भी 10% बीसी मुस्लिम, बीसी हिंदू, बीसी मुस्लिम, हिंदू बीसी, मुस्लिम बीसी, ऐसा सर्वे करके 10% ओबीसी में मुस्लिम को जोड़कर सर्वे किया है. ऐसी सर्वे भारतीय जनता पार्टी सरकार केंद्र में, देश में हम नहीं करेंगे. भारतीय जनता पार्टी जो भी काम करेगा कंस्ट्रक्टिव काम करेंगे, और जो भी करेगा ओबीसी के हित में करेंगे, जो भी करेंगे देश के हित में करेंगे. सभी लोगों को न्याय मिलना चाहिए. भारतीय जनता पार्टी पहले से ही तय किया है. आपको मालूम है, जो भी भारतीय जनता पार्टी समय समय पर निर्णय लेते हैं, देश के हित सोचते हुए निर्णय लेते हैं. इस ओबीसी का जो पॉपुलेशन सर्वे करना चाहिए, इसमें भी देश के हित में ही लिया है, मगर कांग्रेस से डर के, राहुल गांधी से डर के, राहुल गांधी के सर्टिफिकेट के लिए, राहुल गांधी को क्रेडिट देने के लिए कोई निर्णय नहीं किया हम।
Are you saying that it's a political motivated survey that was done in Telangana?
100%, 100% फर्जी सर्वे है, पॉलिटिकल मोटिवेटेड सर्वे है।
Well, that political exchange will continue. But apart from that, in states like Karnataka, where there has been a sharp exchange over the socio-economic survey data and refusal by several sections to accept the finding, raises the question that if nationally, is it easier to conduct one and more difficult to accept its findings if it threatens the caste status quo in some places? Joining me this evening, a special panel, Brijesh Kalappa of the Congress will be joined by Dr. Ajay Alok of the BJP in a bit from now, author of Courseware, Polity Simplified, and former IAS officer R. Rangarajan, noted cephalogist Sandeep Shastri, and Professor Chandan Gowda. Thanks to all of you for joining me here this evening. For a change, before I get to the politicians on this panel, let me get to the academic voices. Ranga, first to you. With caste enumeration in a national census, it would be fair to say that the arguments and data from surveys in states like Karnataka and Telangana become redundant.
Yeah, thanks, Veera, for having me on the show. Yeah, you can say that. I mean, to begin with, short answer to your question, yes. The fact is, census is in the union list. And so once the caste census is made by the center, that data will override. But if you look at it, the demand for a caste enumeration started from states which are ruled by opposition. In fact, Mr. Nitish Kumar started this exercise in Bihar when he was in the opposition and not part of the NDA alliance, and he completed it first. Then Telangana and other states which are opposition ruled have done it. So they can continue to use it for their internal purposes, but after this census is done, the data that will be there, because those are surveys, this is a proper 100% enumerated census. So this data will be more scientific, it will be more reliable, and all the actions that need to be taken by the state governments also is likely to be determined by this data. You can say that.
Right. You're saying it is likely to be determined by that data. Chandan Gowda, given the experience that one has had in Karnataka with the socio-economic survey, you have been speaking for a while about the need for a decisive number and data from the census which can be undisputed. Do you believe that this would be the final word when it comes to perhaps data or information that could threaten or challenge status quo in several states?
Yeah, Veera, the census data is of high quality and it will have enormous credibility in the public eye. And unlike the previous panelists, I won't think the data already collected by the surveys in Telangana or Karnataka would be redundant. I think there is always there for cross-checking, verification if the occasion arises. But the census data is going to be the definitive standard data to create your policies against. And also, it saves money for all the other states that haven't done it. And I hope it becomes an annual feature and also acquires a certain, neutrality to the data, which allows for periodic revisions of the backward class lists without controversy. If the criteria for backwardness are clearly identified and the census, is periodically, generating credible data on this thing, we can update the list. It's going to be, it's a good thing. We just have to see how the census operations are conducted. They're usually of very high quality and rigor, but we'll have to wait and see. We can't prejudge the data and the quality before it's even happened.
Right, you can't prejudge it. Absolutely, an important point there. Professor Sandeep Shastri, do you believe that given that much of this could depend on the political convenience of certain political groups, which could vary from state to state, how difficult would it be to accept it completely and move forward on it, given what we have seen in a state like Karnataka?
Veera, while agreeing with the panelists who preceded me, I will make 3 quick points. I think even if you do a caste census nationally, you will not have a final word. And I tell you why. Given the intense polarization and the visible partisanship that today's debates witness, there will continue to be various levels of differences that will be expressed. Chandan rightly raised the question of its periodicity. Now, if it is going to be a census, we are looking at it as once in a decade occurrence. So it will not be something that would happen more frequently than that. And that it's by itself would be an achievement because we have not had this for quite some time. Uh, Third and last, when previous census operations happened, we did have caste groups making a concerted effort for their caste groups to say that we should project ourselves in a particular way. So I think how various caste groups would use the census to be able to project themselves also becomes important. And that's why I said it need not necessarily be a final word.
Absolutely. You're making a strong point there. Now that the academics have spoken, let me get to the politicians on the panel. Brijesh Kalappa, while the demand and the credit for who is to be credited for the census, caste being included as part of the census is playing out on one side, is it really easier to conduct one than to accept the findings when it comes, which could subtly threaten certain status quo in terms of caste equations?
See, first I'd like to say that as far as the census is concerned, I think a lot of people across the country have been waiting for it, and for years. And in fact, the 2011 census is rather late in its making. So I think we should have an early census, and the caste is the cherry on the icing. And this is the real good part about what is being done. And I honestly don't feel that there would be very discordant voices with regard to the census. And so long as it's done after due consultation and after due process and after taking all stakeholders into confidence, I think the caste census will certainly be a resounding success. And as far as the Congress party is concerned, we have already said that we are not trying to rob the BJP of the kind of credit that they are trying to now steal from us. So therefore, let them take the credit. We have no difficulty. Point is that we want a proper census. Let the numbers come out. Let the proportionality issue be decided once and for all. How much belongs to each community? What is the strength of each community? And accordingly, I think let some proportion in terms of the size of the community. Let the positions or education or whatever parameters be filled in. And I think it's the need of the hour. And we are very glad that this has finally happened, despite the fact that Prime Minister Modi spoke about, stealing people's Mangal Sutra as a response to Rahulji's, caste census idea. But, there हुए लेकिन दुरुस्त है, whatever. So I think we are very happy that this has been announced, and we are not certainly trying to come in the way of the BJP trying to steal our thunder.
Okay. Dr. Ajay Alok, we are not coming in the way of the BJP trying to steal our thunder, says Brijesh Kalappa.
Well, let me tell you, those who are thumping their chest regarding caste census, it was very much on the card since 2017. The day Rohini Commission was announced, after the formation of OBC Commission, which was given a constitutional status. And when the Rohini Commission recommendation was submitted to the President and then subsequently accepted by the Cabinet, the recommendation clearly said that we have to have the caste census. So caste census was a reality in 2023 when they started raising voice about caste census, this indie bloc. Now today in 2025, it's becoming a reality, and now the execution part comes into play. Definitely, people of this country do understand that whom to give credit. Just first by shouting, nobody gets the credit, either BJP or the Congress. But people of this country understand who should get the credit for. The important part about this caste census is going to be like we are going to be calculating all the subcasts also, subcaste, and it will be a pan-India exercise which is going to take certainly a lot of time, effort, and money. The point is that once in independent India, this is going to be for the first time that we are going to conduct a caste survey, though it was conducted earlier also. But in the very same caste survey of UPA, they pointed out 8.19 crores of mistake. 4,953 crores were blown, exchequer's money, and still we are waiting for the results. So let me assure you all, and through your channel to the country, to the countrymen, that no, this time we are going to be perfect and we are going to be fine, and it is going to be conducted on each and every house.
Okay, you're saying we're going to be perfect, we're going to be fine. My quick questions to the politicians before I go back to the academics on the panel. Will the real politics play out once the data is in front? And no one knows, as you're saying, that it may take a while. No one is clear as to when that data will be in front. It's easier to play the credit politics right now, but more difficult when that data comes down in terms of taking decisions. Dr. Alok first.
You are absolutely right. It's going to take a while. It's not going to be done in say months or so. It's going to take a while because it concerns the whole country. And of course, when the data will be in front, it will be a real eye opener. It could be a game changer because if we are thinking, if we are pledging that India to be a Viksit Bharat, a well-developed India by 2047, this caste census data is definitely going to be a game changer because all the policy conversion and the policy implementation will be based on these data. So these data are quite important, and let's see, as soon as possible, we'll try.
All right, Brijesh Kalapa.
See, as far as the caste census is concerned, I heard my friend Ajay Alok saying that it will be a perfect census. We only hope it wouldn't be as perfect as the demonetization scheme or Article 370. We hope that it would be something which is done after taking stakeholders into confidence, because we all know that as far as demonetization, it was a one-man project. So we don't want this to be a one-man project. All one-man projects in this country have failed. And I think everybody in the BJP must first understand that this over-focus on one man is really ruining the country. So let's really take all the stakeholders into account. Give up your ego. Give up this thing that, I am the only one with a 56-inch chest. There are a lot of people who have a lot of intellect and use that intellectual strength to make a really good survey. And we are certainly with you. Because it was, like I said...
Collaborative exercise. Dr. Alok, quickly respond before I go to the academics again.
My friend Brajesh is sitting in Karnataka, Bangalore right now. I hope he should give these words to DK Shiv Kumar and Siddaramaiah ji, so that whatever the data and exercise they have done, that should come out in the open. So don't worry, it's not going to be a one-man exercise. One man cannot conduct the caste survey of 1.4 billion people.
Brijesh, advice for the Karnataka government on the socio-economic survey between DK Shiv Kumar and Siddaramaiah from Dr. Alok. Your response before I again go to the academics.
See, the issue will always be here that as far as Mr. Shiv Kumar, who belongs to the dominant community, and Mr. Siddaramaiah, who belongs to the backward classes, that kind of a schism is going to continue and going to exist throughout the country. So if Mr. Ajay Alok is going to make a point of what is in Karnataka, they are going to face, 10 times the size of contradictions in the rest of India. And today they can't be very sanguine about, saying such things, because it's ultimately a fight between those who have and those who don't have. So let's understand that there's going to be a lot of opposition for this, not just from the BJP, from those who have, but also from the RSS. So let them understand this. This is not something you just mention and it just happens.
No, you're making a very fair point. But let me go back to the academic part of this exercise. Ranga, the fact that this is not going to be something that can be done in a hurry, given that it's the first time that caste enumeration is going to come, do you fear that eventually it could spark off more politics and come long delayed?
Yes, so as in management, they say only what can be measured can be managed. So the caste data is definitely going to be helpful, hopefully, in ensuring that equitable social justice is delivered. But we'll have to wait and see. It should not affect the fraternity amongst the people, right? And politicians also should be very, very responsible in using this data so that it helps in achieving social justice without affecting fraternity. But the more pertinent point which I want to add is, I hope this is not an organic way of delaying the census, which is already overdue by 4 years. So because if this preparation takes about 1.5 years, or if they take 1.5 years to prepare for this, and start the census only after 2026, then that can be used to club it along with the delimitation exercise, which can be done only based on the first census after 2026. So I think it's important that the preparation for this is done in really quick time, and the census, which is long overdue from 2021, is started along with the caste enumeration before the end of 2025, so that delimitation is kept out of this exercise.
Absolutely. It's an important point that you're making there. Professor Sandeep Shastri, in terms of implementation and going about the exercise as a cephalogist, somebody who studies data very closely, what would be the crucial challenges?
Veera, I think I would agree with the point which Rangaji made. We are now looking at when the caste census will happen, the general census will happen. The preparation for that could take anything from 18 months plus. So we are looking at this thing happening down the line 2 years from now, 2.5 years from now. And we have this debate on the caste survey that is going on. I think one immediate impact of this politically is going to be, we will have to put on the back burner all these surveys that have happened and say, everybody will now say, and it suits everybody, because even for the Congress to say that we will wait now for the census to happen is an ideal thing to say, because it also helps you in a way deal with your internal contradictions. So I think this announcement of a caste census is something which pushes to the future, at least by 2 years or 3 years, the actual conduct of such an exercise and the release of data from such an exercise. I hope we use this time for ensuring that happens in a proper, scientific and a thorough manner. But in terms of the political debate, I think to a certain extent this decision has pushed to the back burner the whole discussion on caste surveys, and that I think is something which the ruling party at the center would want, and I think
on that note, Chandan Gowda, last words from you, because we have just 30 seconds left. Your final thoughts on the implementation roadmap.
Outside of the value of this caste census to better fine-tune your social justice policies and welfare delivery mechanisms, we should not forget that the social science academia will have a lot of new material to work with. Questions of which communities are migrating where, who are the shrinking communities, which are the expanding communities, disappearing occupations, new occupations, all of these things, very, very important for the self-understanding of a country. And also, electorally, the visibility of subcastes among the Muslims and Christians, and even among the dominant castes across the country, will likely elicit a different kind of electoral mobilization. Within states, across states, a lot of new dynamics will ensue post this caste selection, caste data release. So I think we should just not be bogged down by the political part of it, which is important. We need to make sure that the process, the integrity of the process is protected throughout. But it's high time that this happen. It's going to be a new phase in our self-understanding.
It's high time before it happens, you say, and no one's clear as to when it will be completed. I'm sorry, Professor Sandeep Shastri, I had to cut you short for want of time. But thanks to all 5 of you for joining us here on what's perhaps a very, very important conversation that could shape the caste dynamics in the country as we go along. But thanks very much for joining us here on The Southern View.